So it's quite a considered contrast. You basically, the next step, you get lots of different colours and go, where am I going next with it?
Dependent upon my mood, actually. I mean, sometimes I get a strong feeling that there's a particular kind of colour that I want to work with today, and I'll mix it up and I'll work with it because I'm just too damn curious to know what will happen. And then there are other times when I'm a little bit hesitant because I'd say, for example, I've already built up a lot of surface layers and the painting's getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And is it going anywhere? Is anything happening? And I possibly at that point I need to be just take a step back and have a think more and be less emotional in my colour choice as a consequence. And because we're making this film today, I think I'm just being a little bit more considered. This is a medium. It helps to thicken the paint and give it what's called impasto. I quite like starting with the yellow first, just to sort of see what kind of temperature, the warmth of the colour I'm going to mix, which is going to be a grey. Start to cool it now with a bit of the green. This is called a cerulean blue. So it's going to be a colour grey. Still quite cool, still looks quite green. You're the first people to see me work.
Okay.
Yeah. At this stage, certainly at this stage, and this kind of. I don't know what you call it really. It's almost like a ritual. This part of the process. Okay, so let's start. So what I'm doing is I'm going to start with one of these shapes to the left. I'm not going to put too much paint on the start, I'm just going to see how we go.
Grey equivalent of one of your boxes, your red boxes.
Yeah, possibly. It would be unusual for me to use a grey next to a red like this. And I'm already thinking if there isn't enough focal point to this particular painting, that I might well have to go with a slight compositional change and have some red in it, or an orangey red or something like that. It could happen, but grey being a neutral doesn't necessarily mean it's boring. Grey used in a particular way can liberate other colour around it. sufficiently. I mean, I've already put quite a lot of grey on that, so I think with these two shapes, I'll put on a little bit less and make it more sparse. So, picking out lines that I can see, which are underneath.
So how much are you relying on experience and instinct when you're doing this?
100%. 100% instinct now, and experience. What was it someone said was the number of hours needed on any activity, any professional activity to get mastery? Was it 1,000 hours? Well, I'm clocking up near to my 1,000 hours now, so I'm going to get my pilot's license to do this soon. So this particular painting's had probably about 15 layers of paint. So it's already got quite a few contours and it's got lots of bumpy bits. So, you know, this is fun. When a painting gets to this stage, this is really fun because I can't entirely predict where the paint's going to get left and where the paint is going to ride over the top. So now I've got this bangle on here. That's quite tricky. So I'm going to do these little ones down here now. So that's been quite blocked in. It's a bit spicy. So this blocked in. So I'm going to try and alternate these a little bit. I'm looking for that harmony, that perfect harmony and balance, tonally, colour, compositional, line, all those elements, but not just those elements, but also the feeling of the overall thing. The painting has to be bigger than the sum of its parts. I'm quite liking the barrier between those shapes along that edge and these shapes here. So.
And at this point, are you making those decisions based on your source, or you're a long way away from your source?
We are miles away from the source here. The painting has taken on its own sort of compositional integrity. So the source is still here, but it tends to be more the spirit of the place or the spirit of the object. Or something, rather than it being particularly referential by this point. So I've got to think about the density of that grey now. The debate really is this blue strip, because I think if I painted that blue strip with the same grey that I've got here, I think the painting potentially loses a focal point. It's possible that more emphasis would go into these two shapes. So I'm very tempted to leave that. And at a later stage I can always change the colour in that, or the tone in that, but I think it needs to be different from this grey. And I think I need a little bit more of that grey in some of the panels to differentiate up a little bit. Though I'm quite pleased, I quite like the fact that these are quite spare, as these are here, these three. But I think this needs to be blocked in more, and I think that needs to be blocked in more. better. That works better now. You see, I've undercut that blue panel in the top left-hand corner, so there's more blue showing through there compared to the shape above it and below it, and then the shape at the bottom going down that left-hand edge. And then there's a little bit of variation here. So again, variation there. So I think quite like the way that this orange and this blue just kind of mingles here around this blue strip, just to break up the top edge of that blue strip. I like that. I quite like this pale blue showing through. That's quite nice with the grey. And I'll need to live with this for a few days now, and then I think if I treat that again, it might be then a lighter grey on top of that, and then I might go lighter and lighter greys, and then see what can be done about this. Yeah.